Hello traders and welcome back to another market update. Today we're going to be taking a look at the currency market and seeing what's going on in terms of technical analysis. Let's start out with Euro USD here, and if we zoom in just a little bit, you can see some interesting stuff happening. We had this downtrend structure that we've been watching. You can see this level, this level, this level, right, holding that bearishness overall. Well, right now it seems like price is broken out and looks like it wants to retest this trend line. Question will be, can we hold bullish? And if so, can we make a move up to a key level like the ones we've been watching, such as this area here of resistance, or even further if we can make it back to the recent structure high? I think that we have some pretty big resistance in this area if price does decide to make it move up there, but we will see if this current level can hold support. That is currently what I'm watching there on Euro USD. Let's take a look at pound dollar, see what's going on. We have a similar kind of story here where we had the back and forth price action, right, where we had this kind of wedge formation. We did see the breakout to the upside, but towards the end of last week we saw the retracement pretty heavily on pound dollar with everything going on with Brexit, and now it looks like we may be wanting to retest this area, but I would be careful just because of the fundamentals here. The Brexit stuff can be very, very scary. We can see a lot of movement there fast, so be careful on GBPUSD as always. My idea here though is that as we pull back to this trend line, we could be looking just to retest this zone to find bullish support or kind of a bounce off of this structure. We will see what we get there on GBPUSD. Next is dollar yen here, and dollar yen, kind of an interesting, we're just still kind of ranging here back and forth. We're not seeing a ton of decisiveness on this pair right now. You could make the argument that we have this kind of trend line here holding for the time being. You do see some sort of bullishness off of this area as well as kind of this level of support. So that might be something to look for. I think I'd probably be more bullish here than bearish just because of the fact that we are holding that trend line as well as that supportive level and kind of in a pullback area that might be interesting to look out for. Next up is XAU USD here. As we make moves to the high side, you can see here on the daily chart, still holding this trend line and even looking like we want to retest structure highs. Right now we did get a pullback just recently, so we will see if this becomes something bigger, but for the time being my bias remains that we still could see the continuation of this strong bullish move that we are seeing on XAU USD. Brent crude is next here, making a move down to this major level at the 57.24 zone. You can see that this major supportive level is getting tested right now. Now, if price decides to break through this level, that's going to be a big deal in my opinion. We could make a slip further if price starts to close underneath. So if we start to see bearishness closing here, I think the next big level would be a move back down to this area here on the longer term chart, right? So that would be something I'm looking out for there on Brent crude. If not, if we do start to see a bounce, we could be looking for some sort of retracement back on the Fibonacci, right? So if you are a bull and we do catch a move to the upside, you have some levels to look at. For example, the 23.6, you have the 38.2, and even the 50% level might be areas to consider as targets if you're a bull here in kind of the sideways range that we do see here on Brent crude oil. Next up is going to be WTI crude, very similar, right? If we do see the big break, my thing would be to say we could make a move down to that level here at the 43.18 due to previous strong levels of support historically, right? But we are currently still holding bullishly for the time being in this area right around the 51.75 level, let's say. Euro GBP is our next one here, and interestingly enough, we are still holding the downtrend structure. However, we did get that kind of bounce off of this trend line that we've been talking about, right? So price broke through on the upside and now retracing. Question will be, can we make a bigger movement up maybe to this structure area once more? And if so, can we break even further maybe to the 50% level? I still like the 50% level as a bearish zone. You can see if price starts to kind of retrace bigger, that would give a nice little longer term pullback on Euro GBP. Next up is going to be USDCHF, and USDCHF here, interestingly enough, you can see is actually back down towards the lows. So we did kind of go the full circle here. So we made the move, we started to look like we wanted to retrace, we made it just shy of the 38.2, you can see, before actually selling off and now looking like we want to even retest the lows. Big question here would be this kind of retracement. Is it going to actually be the low, or are we going to break lower? If we do see the break lower on dollar Swiss, my bias would be that we could see something like this, where we break the structure pretty strongly and there might be a retest to look for the continuation trade on dollar Swiss to the downside. That would be the bearish case scenario. If we do put in another low here and we kind of bounce, I still like that 38.2, but I also really even more so like the 61.8 with that previous structure in kind of favor of the downside there. Next up is was AUDUSD. Very interesting story here on Aussie dollar. We're back to really long-term lows here and testing to see if price wants to go lower. Now, we have held this level very bullishly historically, right? But we are again at long-term lows, which sometimes can mean that a new long-term low is just around the corner, right? When you have a market that's overall making lower lows and lower highs, we call that a strong downward trend, right? So right now we do have a strong downward trend on Aussie dollar, but we are halted and paused at the current level of support in this area. So we will see if that can hold overall or if we are going to break lower here on Aussie dollar. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you got something out of today's video. Make sure to tune back in the future. We'll see you guys back next time.